things that we've been playing. So hopefully we're going to now be back. As viewers, we apologize. For those that are on YouTube, you are still able to watch, be connected to us. So if you're just tuning in, we do apologize.
Have you not paid your bill, Tonci?
Realised that, No,
have you not paid your bill?
We've played some. We've been naughty. We've been naughty about playing some copyrighted footage. We'll never do that again. Trust me. Welcome to everyone. We've got LACHY FLANNIGAN here. He's from FNR Football Nation Radio, and he's stepping into the hot seat, the hot co-host chair that Steve Curtin normally occupies. LACHY, how are things with you? It's been a pretty busy weekend of football, hasn't it, for yourself?
Good. I'm still hoping that I am living up to the high bar set by Steve Curtin. As I said, don't have his physical endurance, don't have his dashing good looks, but I do have enthusiasm and a will to contribute to this show. And I've enjoyed what we've been doing so far.
Yeah. Shout out to our major season sponsor, the Caroline Spring Cross, the award-winning Georgie's on Vista. We're going to take a little bit, and here are some messages from our major sponsor. When we tonight, we will be talking to from the UK, JESSIE MAES. He is the English FA kitman, and he's got a very interesting story to tell about the Euro Nations League that kicked off this weekend. Don't show.
Georgie's on Vista is in the heart of Fraser Rise. You'll find us at Caroline. Georgie's on Vista is in the heart of Fraser Rise. You'll find us at Caroline Springs George Cross. Looking for a bit of fun with your meals? Tuesday night is bingo night. Bingo books are $2, eyes down at $7. And we have a special bingo menu for you to choose from, so be sure to get in early and grab a bite to eat beforehand. Friday night is poker night. Registration is from 6:30 p.m, with poker starting at 7:30 p.m. Why not join us beforehand for happy hour? Kicks off at 5:30. We're also on Uber Eats, so you can enjoy your favourite Georgie's meals in the comfort of your own home. Find us on the app. Dining in? Be sure to book your table to avoid disappointment. Bookings can be made via our website, georgiesonvista.com.au.
Welcome back to the Football Show, where we do apologise once again. We've been having numerous technical issues tonight, and we think we're on top of it. We think we know what is the problem, but nonetheless, we will be persevering. Guys, it's time to now introduce our special guest from the UK, Wonders of Technology. With all the problems of technology today, still the wonders allow us to talk to one on the other side of the world. And JESSIE MAES, away from the UK, a former Geelong boy, kit manager at Brisbane Roar, and now he is doing all sorts of interesting things in the UK with the football, with the English FA. Welcome to the Football Show, and tell us what's happening over there.
Thanks, boys. Not too much at the moment. I'm off to Grimsby v Solihull today, the National League playoff final. The winner will go to League Two, and I just come back from a trip to Poland with the Nations League match between Wales and Poland. Unfortunately, Wales got down, Craig, but it was a good effort from probably what was a...
It was a practice game, mate.
Exactly, yeah. So it was probably a second-string team for what is probably Wales' most important game in their history today against the Ukraine. So a huge game that most people around the world will be watching for many reasons.
Yeah, and as I said in the show at the start, and it's great as well that you've got fantastic internet connection from the UK, because Tonci's 20 kilometres from my house, mate, and it's awful. So As I said earlier on in the show,
It's
Jess, it's almost like it feels that the whole world, apart from Belarus, Russia, North Korea, and Wales, want Wales to win. Everybody else in the world want Ukraine to win tonight. So it's going to be a real tough game for Wales. And as you said, it's the biggest game in the history of of Wales, because they haven't been to a World Cup for 64 years. Long before I was on this planet, and my next 6 months hangs on the next 6 hours. So I will be doing everything in my power to make sure that ball goes in the net tonight, even if I have to get up and header across it myself, mate. Let me tell you.
No, it's interesting they played, because I don't think this Polish game was supposed to happen. It was scheduled long before the Ukraine game or the Ukraine war started happening over here. So it's an interesting decision that Poland and Wales played 4 days before probably one of their biggest games. So hopefully Wales get the job done, because then they're in the same group as England. So it'd be awesome to see Wales v England in the same group. It would make a massive match up at the World Cup.
Scotland not in there, no? Sorry,
come on, man. You didn't have to do that. You know what's funny is you were saying the next 8 hours decide my next 6 months. Well, you know who was saying that a few days ago, Craig? Me. I was saying that when we played Ukraine.
You can come with me to Qatar, mate. You can come with me. We'll have a trip. We'll have a trip together.
Yeah. So somehow I don't think I'll enjoy it quite as much, but it will still be fun, I'm sure, if you're involved.
There we go. The UEFA Nations League kicked off on the weekend, and with Division 1, or the group, some of the games there. Wales obviously played there in Group 4, but tell us about your job, because you got an interest. Talk about Scotland. Tomorrow you're off to work with the Scottish national team. You've just finished with the Welsh national team. I think you'll be working with the Croatian national team before too long. But how did you deal? How did you job with the English FA?
So I was working at Lewis Football Club as their general manager, and it was coming to a point where my a 3-month contract was ending, and I had to decide if I wanted to stay on or do something else. It was a big decision, so I just chucked a LinkedIn message out there to see what else was out there, because I overly wasn't enjoying my time on Lewis. And then, within an hour, a guy named Pat Frost messaged me on LinkedIn, who is at the time I didn't know who he was, but he's the head kitman for the England national team. So he messaged me. He's like, just tell me a bit about yourself. So I told him what I was doing over in Australia and over here. And he's like, right, do you want to come to Netherlands with me tomorrow with Tottenham Football Club and help them out? I'm like, oh, this guy's trying to kill me, I think. So I was like, do I trust this guy? So I think that night I made the decision on Lewis and just decided to leave the club. And then the next day I was heading to Tottenham's training ground thinking, is this guy going to kill me, or am I actually legit here? And then, the next day we're at Tottenham's training ground, hanging out with Tottenham and collecting their kit, getting their kit ready for what was their Europa Conference League game against Vitesse Arnhem. So then I hopped in the kit van, we drove over to the Netherlands, and then it was just a great week hanging out with the Tottenham kit man, the England kit man, and watching the Europa Conference game in Netherlands. That's where it all started, and then he got to know me a bit more, and I got to know him a bit more of what sort of work he does. So he owns a transport company, and the way the kit works in the United Kingdom is it's tendered out to people. So he's won the tender the last 20 years because of the phenomenal job he does. And he's just met so many people in football. So he's got obviously a head kitman of England, the senior team. There's a head kitman of the Welsh team and a Scottish team as well. And then he picks all the kitmen for the England youth, the women's and the men's as well. So I'm the kitman for the blind team, the kitman for the under-18s rugby national team. So I've done that as well. So they're my two teams are doing it. They're my two teams are doing a regular. And then he gets random calls saying, can you go assist these countries? So that's what I'm doing at the moment. So go assist if need be. Plus, because he knows so many people in football now are going to club level. With the COVID pandemic over the last year, it's been horrific in England. A lot of kitmen have got COVID and a lot of other staff members have got COVID in clubs. So I've gone down there to Wolverhampton for 3 weeks. I was at Nottingham Forest for 2 months with their first team, and Bromley Football Club in the National League.
Wow.
So who wanted to go next? Lochy?
I'll go next. I mean, Look, obviously, your experience as this sort of I don't know. I think kitman for hire sounds harsh. It's a lot more than that. But it's taken you to some spectacular clubs, probably some spectacular places as well. I would imagine. I mean, you had that stint with Tottenham. I mean, we know they're a team that play Conference League. Tell us a bit more about some of the actual locations that
Yeah,
that
no
this
worries.
job of taking you to, because you're going to be on the verge of going to a pretty interesting one with Scotland before too long as well.
Yeah, so I think it started with that. Netherlands is not too far. It's only like a 4-hour drive. It's unbelievable how close things are in this country. But Netherlands went to Vitesse, which was an interesting place. It was probably the first time I've left England when I was here, because I was like halfway through the year. So it was my first opener into Europe. And then he had to tender for the Champions League team, so we take the kit over for them. We don't necessarily do the kit for them, but we just help assist the kitman. So I went over with Man City to Leipzig in Germany. So we went over to the Champions League match over there. I've been to Vienna with West Ham. And then most recently, I've been to Wrocław with Poland, with Wales and Poland. And yeah, next I've got to drive tomorrow to start the drive to Armenia, which is a long drive. It's about 3,500 kilometers. So it's going to be a 6-day trip driving through France.
It's no different from you going from Queensland down to Sydney, mate. You're used to it. You've done that with Brisbane Roar before, mate. I know that.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. And it's just now with Brexit, we've got all this paperwork, and it's just going to be an absolute pain. But it's going to be fun at the same time. It's going to be one of the best trips I ever have. So it'll be going through Bulgaria, Romania, Turkey, Georgia, through all the way to Armenia, then back. So yeah, it's going to be an absolutely amazing trip. So one that I don't think I'd ever do without football in my life.
Now you've obviously so you do what you got to do on match day, and where then do you end up watching the game, or do you not watch the game? Are you working in the dressing rooms and working behind the scenes and getting halftime ready and then getting the end of the game ready, or do you actually get a chance to watch these games? And where do you watch it from the dugout? Do you watch it from the players' race? Well, tell us what happens once the game kicks off.
Yeah, so depending what club you're at or where I'm at, so in the national team, if I'm with the team as the head kitman, I'll be in the dugout, in the rooms at heart. Mostly, if you're with a head kitman, you're not watching the game. You're setting up before the game. You're in with the players, making sure they're fine with the coaching staff. Then when the players go out, you're cleaning the kit again and putting out another set of kit. So yeah, it's unbelievable how much kit they wear in a game. And then you sit probably got to watch 45 minutes of the game, which is probably a good chunk of that in the dugout, and then the rest inside the change room. So I make sure the TV in the room so I can watch the game at the same time. And then with these trips, like with Scotland, Wales and stuff, that you drive the kit over, you drive it with the kit man, assist him setting up, and then he'll take over and help out with the players and coaches. Till about the 60th minute, I get to watch the game in the stands, usually in the players and staff area. And then from the 60th minute, I go back to the change rooms, help clean up, and then help with any player questions and coaching questions they need for after the game, especially with those sort of games, because they're on a flight within an hour after the game. So you need to be quick. They need as many people as they can. And then with clubs like Nottingham Forest and Wolverhampton, you're on the bench. With the amount of questions you get from players during a game, you would be surprised. Like if you see a player slip, how many of them just look over you and just point, and you've got to get a boots ready. And yeah. Just those little things you probably don't see on TV over here, that you're just running in and out of change rooms, getting boots ready. You probably put new studs in boots that you just don't see. It's like a tennis player changing rackets and then getting the restring.
Yeah.
It's like that with me with boots, or then just getting a new kit because they're not happy with the kit they've got. They want another size. So you've got a heat press at the game. You probably get quickly heat press a shirt in about 30 seconds and then get it out to them. So
they're very precious footballers, aren't they? Hey?
Yeah, they are. Especially
Very
the higher
precious.
you get, the more things they want.
So obviously, I want to talk about. Obviously, sorry, Lucky. I'm going to say it, mate. I want to talk about obviously the Welsh. Sorry, mate. You cut yourself.
It's okay. You've got to do it. It's your time. My time has been and gone.
It's
We had our chance. You have the floor.
Thanks, mate. Yeah. Obviously, you were away in Poland. What's the feeling around camp? Obviously, with this massive game later on, or the early hours of tomorrow morning, 2:00 Australia time. What's the feeling around camp about the game?
Yeah, so I went down to probably the first time I saw the boys was the morning of training, and the coaching staff in the morning of training, and
And where was that? Was that Cardiff? At the hotel?
So we flew in. They were in Portugal at training camp, so I didn't go to the training camp in Portugal. And then you had a lot of boys still playing on the Sunday. So you had Brennan Johnson playing for Forest and Sober Thomas playing for Huddersfield on the Sunday, and then you had Gareth Bailiffs playing on the Saturday. So those boys flew directly to Poland and met the team after the Portugal camp in Poland. So their first training session was at the stadium on Tuesday. So that's when I sort of met everyone, and everyone just seemed really happy and upbeat. The sun was out; it was about 30 degrees that day, so it was a light training session. And most of the talk was just, we get this game, we just put minutes in the legs of these boys, and just we're all prepared for what's happening on Sunday. So it's basically a lead-up match for everything we want to on Sunday, because like most people are saying, it is the biggest game in the country it's had in years. So. As probably the happiest I've seen a team going into a match, like an international match, for the Polish game. So I can't imagine what they're doing right now and how happy the town is feeling, even though it's absolutely pissing down rain in England in a summer's day. So I'm sure they're happy and upbeat. And yeah, that was probably.
Look, I can imagine Cardiff. What time is it now? It's lunchtime coming up to now. It's going to be electric in Cardiff today. If there's one place I would want to be in the world today, it would be the centre of Cardiff. To watch the game, obviously, is being played at the Cardiff City Stadium rather than the Millennium Stadium. I think they would have sold out the Millennium Stadium if
I think the game was
played there. But
I asked the question why it wasn't played at Millennium, and it's because they've played every single game at Cardiff, and I think if they're on this good run, what's the point changing it now? So. And the atmosphere in Cardiff Stadium is going to be absolutely bouncing. It's
going to be fantastic. I certainly can't wait. I'll be going to bed straight after this and up at 1:50 to watch the game at 2. You joining me, Lockie, or not?
I think. I mean, I'm not you physically in the same room. Although I would like to see your reaction to what happens. But yeah, I'll be up for it. I'll be up for it for sure.
Thank you.
Good stuff, Jess. So we talked about you talked about your routine during a game and how full on it is and how precious the footballers can get. Obviously, a young man from Australia dropping everything and going to the other side of the world in the midst of a global pandemic. You're obviously so excited about creating a career in the football industry for yourself and going back to the old dart. Has it changed your perspective on football, like as a sport and getting involved in the sport? Are you more excited? Are you more determined to get involved and make football your career? Or, dealing with all these precious professionals, is it something that you just sort of starts to irk you from time to time, the football industry?
I think in my role, I don't know how many documentaries you've seen of the Man City or the Tottenham ones. The kitman are loved. So that helps. The players love you, the coaches love you. You get annoying questions sometimes, but loved. I think coming to this country, and I don't know how many of you, I think, have come here and seen like non-league football. Just like I keep up to date with every single team, probably to the 12th division, because it means like the promotion relegation here lately has been fantastic. And working at Lewis Football Club, it's an eye-opener of how good football is in this country. Obviously worked for 2 clubs in the A-League, West United and Brisbane. And the A-League is a good league to watch. And then I just hope it gets to the heights of a promotion relegation soon. It's probably eager for me, if I come back over, just pushing that more, depending on what sort of position I am in Australia. But it's excited me a lot more, this country, about football in general. Just
because of the promotion relegation.
Yeah, like today I'm going to a 5th-tier game and they're expecting 30,000 people at West Ham Stadium for Grimsby Solihull, so it's just unbelievable. And then last week I was at the FA Trophy final, Wrexham Bromley, and there was a good 70,000 there. So it's unbelievable how many people love football here, and it's you live and breathe it. It's you can't go anywhere without a football team there, and like Lewis will get in 2,000 people a game, and that's in the 8th tier in the Isthmian Premier League. So it's unbelievable how much football means to people here, and you get absolutely caught up in it. So I'm loving it even more.
And I think you're absolutely spot on there. When we talk of, and Lockie can have a say on this, but when we talk about Australian football, we always talk about Europe. We always talk about what UK is. And, Australia have to remember that they're not the UK. They're not England. No. They're not Scotland, Ireland, or France, or Germany, or Belgium. It's Australia. And we are playing second fiddle to various other sports. Whereas in Europe, Croatia, they're football mad. Italy, they're football mad. Spain, they're football mad. It's their national sport. And as you would know, there's 92 professional clubs in the UK, and every one of those professional clubs has an academy from 6 years old up to 18. So we have to remember where we are as a football nation. We have to remember what we have and make it the best that we can possibly be with what we've got, rather than, I know it's been said many, many times, trying to be something that we're not. Lockie?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair thing to make, and that involves us sort of blending the things that are appealing to a local market, like finals, for example, and combining that with other elements that might work. That might be a good way forward, because I agree with what Jessie's saying, that promotion and relegation, while it might not be a thing we can immediately bring in, has to be the end goal, because it makes a great example of this, in fact, was the game that I did last night between Hume and Dandenong City. Now, 13th against 12th. It was, I'll be honest, not the best, highest quality game of football, but because Dandenong City were obviously fighting for their survival, it was an amazing game, and I was hooked the whole time because that narrative was there. 12th versus 13th in the A-League at the end of the season. We're talking about a game that effectively doesn't matter. And if a game doesn't matter, then you can't convince people, enough people beyond the Rustodons, to go and watch it. So I think that's, I mean, yeah, a really prescient observation from your time over there, Jessie. I did want to ask you a question though, actually, about the role, because beyond an obsessive of Australian football, I'm also pretty interested in kits and the collection of kits. Is that something that filters into your job? Obviously, you're talking about all these different pieces of equipment and gear that the players are getting. Does any of that filter through to you in that job? And if so, take us through the wardrobe. Well, what are the best pieces?
Oh, so the best piece, it does filter through. So when I was at Forest, when I started there, yeah,
I'm going to stop you, Jessie. You do know I'm a Nottingham Forest fan, don't you?
Yeah, I did notice that. I thought there'd be more questions from me about Forest at the moment.
No, it's coming. It's coming.
When I was at Forest, it was probably the first time I was at a big club level. And you go to the other kitman for a game, they ask you straight away, like, can we get a kit from this person? And I was like, yeah, sweet, I can have the kit from this person. So probably my favourite kit I've got, because my first ever football kit when I was in Australia, I was a massive tennis fan. So it was a Wimbledon shirt with Lyle Taylor on the back. So that was my first ever football kit. And then going to Nottingham Forest and walking into a change room, and I just saw Lyle Taylor there. I was like, oh my God, he was my first ever kit. So I knew him. So that's probably my favourite kit is after the Boxing Day match in Middlesbrough, Lyle Taylor signed a shirt for me and gave it to me. So that's probably my favourite one. I've got, from this week, I've got Daniel James's kit from the Welsh game. I'm just trying to...
Now Craig's jealous.
Massive...
You can't see that shirt behind you quite as much, but that there is the signed Gareth Bale shirt from the match against Georgia in 2016, the 9th of October 2016 in the Russia 2008 World Cup qualifiers. So
perfect. That's a great shirt. So the Lyle Taylor one would be my favourite. I've got a Brighton shirt from someone just through a mate, and then recently I was staying at a mate's house in Poland. My best mate from Brisbane, Jordan Courtney Perkins, he's currently playing in the Australian Asian Cup team. Yep. He gave me the Australian shirts. He gave me a Polish, the team he's playing in. I've got a Middlesbrough shirt. I've got Huddersfield shirts. I've got about 25 kits at the moment. I've got
very nice.
And then a good...
I can see Lockie becoming very jealous there. I know he's a kit professional. He loves his football
the kits are great. What I'd be interested in, are there any other like obscure pieces as well? Because like, have you got a glove that Son Heung-min just threw on the turf and he says, I didn't like this glove that was on my right hand. It wasn't working for me. Like anything obscure?
I've got a training bib from national from an England team. I don't know who it's worn by. That's somewhere hanging up.
Done. Good. Excellent.
But no, it's just mostly kits. And if I go to a non-league game, I've got a lot of scarves. I usually buy a scarf at every non-league ground I go to as well. So Yeah, but the kit game is getting up there. Which is,
speaking of the
hopefully-
Jess. Speaking of the non-league teams that you visited, what's been some of your memorable events or memorable trips to some of these non-league clubs? Because we know here, guys, Josh Parrish, our mate from FNR, always used to do the food safari at all the NPL clubs, and there was always something that you're not going to get in the professionals at these grassroots clubs. What have been some of the experiences you've had that have really stuck in your mind in England?
I guess one thing that was quite funny. I was at Bromley and we're travelling up to Halifax to play as a league match on the Saturday. And I was bucketing around down rain. And when you're at either a premiership club, you've got a good water service, so it cleans up. So you on a bus, because there's no flights in non-league, they can't afford it. You're on an 8-hour bus to Manchester. You stay in Manchester, then it's another hour away to Halifax. So we're getting ready to set up all the kit. The players are walking out, and the referee comes in and said, "No, the game's been called off till Tuesday." So then we had to take an 8-hour bus ride back. Then 2 days later, another 8-hour bus ride back to Halifax for a match. So that was probably the most memorable one. But it's just you get real football fans in non-league, I think, and you're sitting. Yeah, the away fans at Bromley sat behind our dugout. So yeah, you're getting people throwing stuff, banging on the sheds, and you're getting a lot of talk back and forth between fans. So that was quite fun just to be part of that. So I don't know why they put the home dugout right in front of the away fans, but yeah, that was probably one of the memorable experiences. And then at Lewis, you're in 3 divisions below that, and I don't know if you know where Lewis is, but it's right near Brighton, about 10 minutes away inland, and it's a small town, about 2,000 people. Who the women's team are in the championship, so they're actually a professional club, the women's team, but the men's team are non-league, and the fans, everyone goes on a Saturday to the football. So you've got 2,000 people at the football, and then your local derbies, it's all it's unbelievable. It's just an eye-opener. When I went down there and it was Lewis, and I was thinking to myself, is it going to be like an NPL or a state league game where there's 4 or 5 people there, 500 people, and then but then when I saw 2,000 people rock up, and it was electric, it was unbelievable. So that's probably the eye-opening thing about non-league here, is that, and that's how I now just go to all these non-league games, because it means so much to people, and it's just so different. It's so different.
And the ladies team at Lewis played Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, didn't they?
Yeah, they played Liverpool in the last game of the season. They actually won as well. So
they did, yeah. Well, Craig Gill, I think I think I've spoken to you before. Craig Gill,
Craig.
So
he got there just before I left. So I actually lived with the ex-manager Simon Parker, who got the flick. So it was then Craig came in the week after we left. So I'd never met Craig, but he did all right towards the end of the year. And he beat Liverpool, which was a huge scalp. So
Jessie, what's this sort of, because for me, from what I'm hearing, you've got a great access to high quality kits. You're traveling to a whole bunch of different places in Europe. You're working with a lot of different, awesome people in football and awesome clubs as well. What's the sort of the goal? Like, where do you want to go from here, or do you just want to keep on keeping on and seeing where this takes you?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one, because I'm on a 2-year visa which ends in January. So I either have to go full-time contract, which FA won't provide because it's contractual work, or I have to come back to Australia. So the goal is I want to stay. I've had 2 interviews I had one full-time interview for Wolverhampton, and I've got a full-time interview with Wales as the national team kitman, the head kitman there. So that's the likelihood. There's heaps of jobs at the moment going out. There's one at Southampton, one at Rangers Football Club. So I'll keep applying, but the end goal is to be back in full-time in a club here. So yeah, and if that doesn't end up happening, it's coming back to Australia and then seeing what's available. There's only 12 teams that will have full-time kitmen in the A-League. So there was one in Macarthur I've applied for. But yeah, it's trying to get back in there, back in the A-League if I don't come back if I don't stay here.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know at the moment. The goal is very short term, and it's going to be decided within the next month or two. And so I don't really know what the end goal is. It will be decided very soon, though. But there is a goal to probably keep working here in hopefully a Premier League club.
Awesome, fantastic. Craig, any last question?
No, nothing from me. It's been a great insight, actually. I wish you all the best with finding a role, Jessie. I think
Absolutely.
Obviously, it's a fantastic life for a young single guy. I wish I was 30 years younger again, and I know what it's like to be involved in a full-time football environment. You're very lucky and privileged to be able to meet some fantastic players through the journey. But I wish you all the best with that, and hope you get what you want, mate. And you don't need to come back to us. Stay in the UK.
No worries. Thank you very much. I'll try and send a photo over as well with all the kids.
No, don't worry about the photo. Just send the kids.
Just send the kids.
Don't worry about it. I don't want a photo. Just the kids. It's fine.
Jess, absolute pleasure having you. Really, really is enjoyable chatting to you and getting a different insight into the world of football. We do talk to coaches, we talk to players, but now, talking to a kit man, and that is just been a real interesting insight into the football industry overseas. And we all want the football industry here in Australia to become a lot more bigger, a lot more developed, and it may well in 5, 10, 15 years time, who knows. But listening to you really gives us a great insight into the wonderful world of football.
Thank you very much, Tonci. It's good to be a part of it and good to be on the show.
Good on you. Jessie Maes.
Good man. Thanks, Jess.
He's the official kit man at the English FA. Good luck to you, Jess.
Thank you, boys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, pal.
Well, that brings us to the end of the show pretty much, gents. Lockie, thank you very much for joining us, being in the hot seat again. I'm sure we will see you again. Craig, you're off on holidays next week. You won't be around next week. You're off to sunnier climes or wetter climes.
Well, I'm going to the Gold Coast. I'm going up with. I'm going to celebrate my wife's. She's got an important birthday next week, so I think there's 19 or 20 of us flying up. They're flying up on Friday. I'm flying up with Morgan on Saturday because we have a big game on Friday night at Crosskeys Reserve. It's Essendon Rolls against Caroline Springs,
Very
George
nice.
Cross. That'll be a cracker. Hopefully we can bring home 6 points and. And then I'll be flying off on Saturday morning. But just on George's, I know Mark's posted a couple of comments in the last sort of 20 minutes or so. I'm not sure whether the first part of the show has actually went out, Tonch, so we may have missed that because he's mentioned about Georgie's women beating Avondale, and of course we spoke about that earlier on. So, but yes, I will be away next week. I'm sure there'll be somebody coming in to sit in the seat.
And we're going to keep that a mystery right up until the very, very last moment. But speaking of next week and speaking of Caroline Springs George Cross will be our feature club next week, or will be a special George Cross themed episode next week. So all you Georgie's fans, make sure to be watching that. And anyone else who's interested to see what's the latest at a really, really good progressive club like George Cross, make sure to tune in next week, folks. That's it for us tonight. Good night and have a lovely, lovely week doing whatever you do. And good night to everyone that has been with us. We apologise again for all the bloody gremlins, the technological gremlins that keep infesting us week in, week out. Good night.
Where will you find authentic Maltese cuisine? At Georgie's on Vista, in the heart of Fraser Rise. We have a menu to suit everyone, which includes kids and seniors meals, and a cocktail list that will need you to come back several times to get through. Our specialty nights are a big hit. Tuesday is $20 Palmer night with a selection of Palmers to choose from. Kids eat free Wednesday night. With every paid adult meal, you get one free kids meal. Thursday is Maltese night. Check out the Maltese specials on our specials board. And Friday night we have happy hour between 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Be sure to book your table to avoid disappointment. Bookings can be made via our website, georgesonvista.com.au. See you at George's on Vista. You'll find us at Caroline Springs, George Cross.